Hi, thank you for joining me for day 17 of 30 Days of Sketches with Christie's Beautiful Life. And today's sketch is by Shayla Gale Knowles. I'll add her details below, and the sketch you can see in the top left-hand corner there. Once again, I'm using Print Shop. You'll be bored of hearing me say that. I'm bound and determined to use this collection, but I don't think it's ever going to happen looking at what I've got left. It just seems to go and go and go. So before I started recording, I did pull a few bits and pieces out and just have a very little play, just to see what I wanted to do. So as per the sketch, I've matted the white cardstock onto a pattern paper, and the photos that I'm documenting today are of Ross and James when they went to see the Rugby League World Cup game last November. He's very fortunate. Ross is a key worker. He's a teacher in a school, so they were given the opportunity to apply for free tickets, and he really lucked out. He got tickets to the stadium in Wigan, which is local to us, to see the quarterfinals for the men's and also the women's group stage match, and they won both, which was phenomenal. So it was a pretty cold day. Ross said it drizzled a little bit, but they had a great time. So I'm just pulling out the bits. I'd pre-punched that notebook edge out of black card using my EK Success notebook punch. And this star piece that I'm adding to the bottom there is a previously die cut piece from an LE Studio die when I created a layout earlier in the month. And these tags are from the Print Shop collection. So on Shayla's sketch, you can see it looks like it's a 4x6 photo which is vertical, and then a horizontal photo which might be 3x4. Now I had a terrible problem trying to print this photo of James and Ross because they're on the edges of the photo. When I printed it from my phone, I lost half of their faces. It looked really odd. So in the end I had to paste the photo into notes on my iPhone and then print it from there, but it printed a very different size. So I think the photos that we take on our phones don't correspond with the way that we can print on our printers, because I've noticed that in the past it does cut some of the photo off. So although I aimed for a 4x6 photo, that's not what I ended up with, but I tried my best. The other photo, of course, printed 4x6 when I wanted that a little bit smaller, but there you go. So this film strip piece is from 49er Market's Gardenia collection. It was just a tiny piece that I cut off a previous layout and popped in a little pot on my desk. So I thought that would be good to bring into this layout. And then I love that title that says Love Days Like This. Now Shayla's title is in the bottom left-hand corner, and I had intended on doing that originally, but in the end I switched out where she has her journaling and her title. It just made more sense on this layout. So you can see I'm just layering up pieces behind to create a nice photo mat on these two photos, and I'm bringing in some other little bits and pieces. That little blue heart that I've added is a new heart set that we've got at Hey Little Magpie. The little suede, well, faux suede hearts, they're really cute. And then this tag that I'm putting at the top, the fabric tag, is also from Hey Little Magpie Bits and Pieces collection. Because Ross had said it was raining a bit, I thought that would work nicely. So now that I've got everything more or less where I want it to be, I'm just going to go around and start gluing everything together. And if you've watched my videos before, you'll know that my preference is to glue things as a block and then add them to the base afterwards. It just gives me an option to add some mixed media if I want to, or some stenciling or what have you. So always better to keep it off the base, and also I can position it. I have a tendency to think that I'm in the middle and I'm not. So by adding it as a block, I can move things around and check that I'm happy with the positioning of the whole block before sticking it down. So just using PVA glue, I find that the easiest when I'm doing this sort of layering, just because it gives you a little bit of time to peel things up if they're not right, and you're also not having to move things too far. You can just add the glue behind, just peeling back the layers. And like that, just using the nozzle of the glue to push it under. So as I start with the photo on the left first and make sure that that's all as I want it to be before I moved on to the right. I found that the easiest way of doing it. So just moving that photo down because it was starting to cover the title, and then carrying on. So we're on day 17 now, over halfway there. How are you doing with all the sketches? Have you been keeping up? Have you kept them for when you're free to scrap. That's what I love about this series. You can do them daily, you can do them ahead of time, or you can just print out the PDF that's available and use them at your leisure. I think I will be referring back to these sketches in the future. When I get a block, a sketch is a great way to start. Even if you go off-piste and don't really follow the sketch, sometimes they just spark a little bit of an idea, and then you can go off and create. As well as sketches, the prompts from Scraptember I found really good for sparking that creativity as well. So anything like that, or browsing through Instagram for ideas of what's trendy at the moment in scrapbooking. There are definitely trends that are followed. I suppose it's people following the same sketches and things. You do see the same things coming up in your feed. What do you use when you're looking for inspiration? I'd love to know that. Let me know in the comments box. So moving on to the right hand side there now, and just getting everything situated. These word phrases are lovely. They're from the Papery paper pack, and they come on a sheet. You just cut them apart, and they're really usable phrases. I've got one on the photo of the boys that says me time, and then the red one says awesome photo, and I really like that. That pink label is from the Hey Little Magpie printables, and that moments captured circle on the right hand side again is from the Hey Little Magpie printables. I think that one's from the set sail collection. I just tend to print them off and cut them out while I'm watching telly, and then I've got them in a pot to use. They've been designed to coordinate with specific ranges, but these colours follow through all the different collections, so you can mix and match if you've got them in your stash. So almost there now with the gluing down, just getting this right hand side sorted and just checking that I don't cover up the title. And then once that's in place, I can just get those tags and that side piece stuck down. I ended up sticking the mat down because I was happy with the positioning of where everything was, and realised that I wasn't really going to add any stenciling or anything, so I could stick the whole mat down because the mat pretty much covered the card. I think when you create a layout like this with a border, and I cut 1 inch off 2 sides, so it's a 1/2 inch border all the way around, straight away you're losing the design space, so you're down to 11 inches rather than 12 inches, so the space fills up much more quickly. It was a bit of a shock. I hadn't intended on doing such a busy layout, but that seems to be the story of my life at the moment. I want to be a little bit more minimalist, and then before I know it, I've got loads, not just on scrapbooking, in my house, in my wardrobe. Right, so I'm coming in with the journaling now, and like I say, I'm adding that at the bottom of the layout. So I've just switched around the positioning of the title and the journaling just reads, the Rugby League World Cup at DW Stadium, Wigan. As a teacher, you got 2 free tickets under the Key Worker scheme. Midday kickoff, Women's England versus Canada group stage 54-4, then Men's England versus Papua New Guinea quarterfinal 46-6. Outstanding results, and James was most impressed at seeing Princess Kate, because Kate Middleton was there as the Rugby League ambassador, and she and Wills are very much into their sports. So, I was quite impressed that she was up here for a match. So just fiddling with some twine here, I end up tying a bow. I just wrap it a couple of times around that beige tag, and then tie a knot so that it's all held together, and then tie a bow just to finish that off. Very nearly there now. Do check the playlist down below for everybody else who's joining in, and join the Facebook group. It's 30 Days of Sketches with Christie's Beautiful Life. You do have to answer the questions to be allowed into the group, just to stop spammers, so that it is a safe space. So mention that I sent you if you haven't already joined. That would be lovely. And nearly finished, just adding some final touches. Those wax seals at the bottom, I added a compass and also a little present, the little red one, because this was a gift to James from the Key Workers scheme. I thought that would work nicely on this layout. And just adding those final bits. And then I decide that I want to doodle a line around the edge. If I wasn't so lazy, I probably would have pulled out my sewing machine and added some stitching. But this is another great way of just finishing off that border when you've layered and matted a picture like this. And then when I've done that, I decide that I do want to bring in some splatters. So I just cover my photos with some scrap card. You'll have seen me doing this hundreds of times if you've watched my videos. And then I'm bringing in a very pale champagne gold watercolour. I have to work it a little bit with a brush to get it going. And I start off with a large brush. This is a number 10 brush. And then I move on to a small, I think it's a number 2, just to get some finer splatters around the other edges. But I really wanted that diagonal from the right of the title to the bottom left. But then here I am with the smaller brush, just adding some tiny little splatters. Just making sure that they're round where I've got big blotches. And that's it. Thank you so much for joining me. I shall see you tomorrow for day 18. Bye.